right. Well, good morning, Nick.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's hot. It's good to be here. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning. I'm Eleanor, one of the TMS clinicians here at the Hub, and we've been hanging out for the last 35 days. Not including weekends, of course.
Yes.
But yeah, have a chat today about your experience throughout the whole TMS treatment process. So we'll just start by, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm a social worker and counsellor. That's my profession. I've taken a little bit of a break just because my health has not been the best, so I wanted to focus on that for a bit.
Yeah.
I like art and comics and Lego, and I have a dog who's obsessed with me.
Yeah. So in terms of your mental health journey, tell us a little bit about that.
I've been diagnosed, so I'm 32 now, and I was diagnosed with several mental illnesses and been struggling with that since I was about 15 years old. Mm-hmm. So my current diagnosis is I've got bipolar. I've also got anxiety. I have an eating disorder, which is classified as atypical anorexia. Mm-hmm. I've also got ADHD. Okay. And I've got a bunch of other things that do have an impact on my mental health. So I've got Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, fibromyalgia, irritable bowel syndrome, and a bunch of other things. Bit of a walking medical dictionary.
Right, yeah. So in terms of your mental illness, in terms of bipolar and stuff, so that's sort of been how many years now?
So it was originally diagnosed as major depression when I was 15. Yeah. And then at 19, after I had a bit of a suicidal, attempted suicide, but I called the ambulance on myself because I was like, I don't want to do this, but I don't know how to cope. Yeah. And so during that, when I was admitted to the psychiatric emergency, that's when they diagnosed me with bipolar. Okay. So I was at 19. Yeah. And since then, I've got a very good psychiatrist and a good psychologist. Mm-hmm. I've gone through a lot of medications to try to manage the bipolar. So a lot.
All right. So it seems like you've been on this journey for quite a few years now, for more than 15 years.
Yep.
Yeah. So what made you decide to give TMS therapy a shot?
So I originally learned about TMS I think 5 or so years ago or 6 years ago from a friend who was getting TMS because she had treatment-resistant bipolar. Yeah. So that's how I learned about it to begin with. Yeah. And then I think it was last year or the year before, my GP discussed potentially looking at it as an adjunct to my current medication. Mm-hmm. So I had a bit of a chat with my psychiatrist about it. Mm-hmm. And, because I was improving and I was going okay with the medication, but I wasn't really getting that next level of functionality with my life and everything. And I wanted to give it a shot, and my psychiatrist thought it was a good idea because there's nothing, the side effects are very minimal, and there's everything to gain and pretty much nothing to lose.
That's right. Wow. Well, I'm glad you gave it a shot.
Me too.
Yeah. And then briefly talk about your coming in for treatment. Like we mentioned earlier, it was every day, all day. Not all day, every day, every week. Yeah. So how frequently do you come in?
So I chose to come every day. Yeah. So I came for every day that you guys were open. Mm-hmm. I personally think that's the best way to do it, doing a bit of a TMS boot camp. Yeah. I think the way that TMS works, I think that doing it daily is probably the best way to go.
Being consistent.
Being that consistency is really important. Mm-hmm. Because of how it works, you're opening up these new neural pathways, and your brain is moving around and doing new things, and having that consistency. It's like when you take medication, you wouldn't just take it once a week. You would take it every day.
Yeah. And have you seen any changes or improvements in your symptoms?
Yes, I definitely have. With yourself, it can be a little bit hard immediately to notice, but a lot of my clinicians who saw me at the very beginning of TMS and then saw me at the end were they observed such a massive change. And one of the things that I've noticed too is that I'm a lot brighter. My affect is a lot more animated rather than super dull. Yeah. And One of the biggest changes I found was that I don't have any suicidal or self-harm thoughts anymore.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, and they were pretty much daily, like pervasive daily.
Okay.
So that's a pretty massive change.
Significant change.
Yeah. It's been amazing.
That's so good to hear. Yeah.
I was unfortunately I usually get lots of side effects from medication. I'm just a very sensitive body, brain in that way. Even though TMS has very limited side effects, I was very unlucky where I got all of them.
I remember that.
I didn't get seizures, thankfully, but that's very rare. Very unlikely. So some of the side effects that I had, and this is not to scare anybody, because despite the side effects, TMS was worth it. Yeah. I never stopped coming to TMS. And so I had headaches, so quite bad headaches to the point of migraines with like light and sound sensitivities. Yeah. I had a bit of a burning sensation, which I don't remember the scientific name, but basically it's called skull sensitivity.
Yeah.
I also had quite pain in my head, so it's like someone had me in the head with a hammer. Mm-hmm. So the things that I did to mitigate those was I would take Panadol Osteo before I came, and then I would take it throughout the day at the appropriate intervals. Yep. I would then also, after leaving, I would put ice packs on my head, which helped a lot. Yeah,
especially with the sensitivity.
Yeah, so ice packs were a definite. I did also explore looking at some options around like migraine treatments, but unfortunately I had some not very fun side effects. Yeah, so I couldn't continue that medication. But I think that, the biggest thing is ice packs were great. Yeah. I also found, which might sound a bit odd, but as soon as you finish the treatment, actually massaging your face and your head, because it's a lot of stimulation in one spot that you're probably not used to. Yeah. So by, moving around and massaging and stimulating around the other side of my head and my face, it helped
balance it out a little bit?
Balance it out. It was like my body was like, oh, what is this? Send all of this to there, because we don't know what's going on. So it helps relax my body. But those are like probably the biggest things. And also just quiet, not just rolling with listening to my body.
Yeah, that's right. You got to listen to your body, yeah.
And I think also not pushing yourself with the TMS. Like, I was a little bit like, no, I must get to my threshold.
Oh, yeah.
when really you don't need to.
That is just the gauge. Like, this is the threshold where we can treat you safely at, so within those range is fine.
It's kind of like that's the maximum dosage of a medication. You don't need to make it. So just, listening to your body. Like, had a bit of a cold. Mm-hmm. So my body was like, I'm very sensitive. So I went down a little bit. Yeah. And then when I felt better, I went back up, and that's okay.
So I think that's the normal trajectory of any kind of treatment. Sometimes you'll find the dip and then you'll make your way back up. So I'm glad you persevered through the side effects, and look where we are now.
Yes, like it was definitely worth it. And that's why I think I wanted to share what I did.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that will be helpful for those, and also helpful for us, so that way we can sort of recommend the distance and things work. Now, what's your overall take on, I think we sort of covered it as well, but what's like your overall take on TMS therapy?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's absolutely awesome. I have noticed a really big change, and it's a change that for me personally, I don't think would have been achieved just through medication alone. Okay. It's made such a massive difference on my life and my ability to engage with life and be like a functioning person, human being. But I think the fact that I didn't really notice until a few days ago, the fact that I don't have any suicidal or self-harm thoughts now, that's
huge.
Since I was 15, I've never not had them.
Wow.
At least a minimum of like once a week, or daily. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've never not had them ever.
But now you notice.
I don't, which is huge.
It is huge.
And like, I probably will continue my medication. This is an adjunct to it, but I can't recommend it enough, people.
I'm glad I can see the improvement in you. When we like, it's different when you feel it yourself, and it's different when other people notice it in you. But yeah, we've seen a great improvement with you. Thanks so much.